Welcome to the pause. Today we are taking a deep dive into the power of silence and really the power of choice in a world that is just constantly demanding a reaction from you.
Yeah, it's about examining that split second where we give our autonomy away and learning how to get it back.
Exactly. And our source material today is this fascinating, really short piece of text. It's almost like a manifesto for reclaiming your mind.
Right, and it starts with a scenario that, well, everyone listening is going to recognize immediately.
Oh, intimately well. It starts, quote, someone provokes you. You feel it rise.
The rise, yeah, that is such a perfect way to describe it.
Because it's visceral.
It's completely physical.
Right.
You know, we have this habit of talking about emotions as if they're just concepts, but this is biology.
Hmm.
When you get provoked, say it's a passive-aggressive email or just a rude comment,
Yeah.
your brain detects a threat.
And it really doesn't distinguish between a physical threat and a social one, right? Like a tiger leaping at you versus a coworker undermining you in a meeting.
No, the amygdala certainly doesn't. That's the part of the brain acting as your smoke detector. And it is terribly blunt. It has zero capacity for nuance. So it instantly triggers your nervous system. Before you've even consciously processed the actual insult, your body is just flooded with cortisol and adrenaline.
Your heart rate spikes.
Exactly. Your muscles tense up, your breathing gets shallow. That is the rise.
I know exactly what you mean. It's that flush of heat that goes right up the back of your neck.
Yes.
And the really frustrating part is in that exact moment, I always feel like my IQ just drops right through the floor.
Well, functionally speaking, it does. That's the amygdala hijack in action.
Right.
When your limbic system lights up like that, it literally diverts energy and resources away from your prefrontal cortex.
Hmm.
And that's the part of you that handles logic, reasoning, and impulse control.
So the rationale you has basically left the building.
Precisely. You are chemically compromised.
Hmm.
And that is exactly when the source text says, this specific menu of impulses appears.
Right, let's look at those. It lists them out so clearly. The impulse to respond, to defend, to correct, to win.
And I think it's crucial to notice that it calls them impulses, not choices.
Because they don't feel like choices, they feel mandatory.
Exactly.
The one that really stands out to me is the impulse to correct. Defending yourself makes sense from a survival standpoint, but to correct, that feels so uniquely human.
It does.
It's that burning need to say, actually, you are entirely wrong, and here are 3 reasons why.
Yeah, and that is pure identity defense. If you
Mhm.
think about it, when someone insults you or states something you know is wrong, your brain interprets that as a lowering of your social status. So the impulse to correct is really just your ego attempting to climb back up the ladder.
Yeah.
It dresses itself up as this noble pursuit of truth.
Like, I just need to set the record straight for the good of everyone.
Right, but usually it's just about dominance. You're trying to reestablish your own self-image as the intelligent, capable person in the room.
And it feels good when you do it, doesn't it? Like, there's a real rush there.
Oh, absolutely. Proving someone wrong delivers a serious dopamine hit. It temporarily alleviates that massive cortisol spike we just talked about.
But the text follows that up with the ultimate trap, which is the impulse to win, which implies that this whole interaction is a zero-sum game. For me to be okay, you have to be defeated.
In that reactive state,
Mm.
it absolutely is a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
You aren't collaborating anymore. You're combatants.
Right.
The impulse to win is just the ancient fight-or-flight response wearing modern clothes.
Yeah.
You want to neutralize the threat.
So just to recap where we are, we're hot, we're essentially dumbed down by cortisol, and we're desperate for this dopamine hit that comes from dominating the other person.
Let's say to play, yeah.
And this is exactly where the text pivots and asks this incredibly counterintuitive question. It asks, but what if you didn't?
It sounds so simple, so benign.
It really does. But let's be honest, in our culture, that is a deeply radical proposition.
Oh, complete.
Because if we look at how we're socialized today, speed is equated with strength. The quick comeback, the immediate rebuttal.
The clapback.
Yes, the clapback. If you just sit there and absorb it and say nothing, the prevailing narrative is that you're weak. You lost.
That is the fear, yes.
Yeah.
But let's look at the mechanics of what's actually happening. If someone provokes you and you immediately jump to defend or correct, who is actually controlling your behavior?
Well, they are.
Right. They pushed a button and you dispense the exact reaction they engineered. They have effectively used you as a remote control.
That is such an unsettling way to put it.
But it's true. The provocation is basically an invitation to join them in their emotional chaos. If you accept that invitation by reacting, you've lost your autonomy.
So by reacting, you aren't winning at all. You're just obeying.
Precisely. The source text is proposing that refusing the invitation is the ultimate display of power.
So the silence isn't a lack of words. It's a refusal to be manipulated.
Yes. Imagine someone throws a ball at you. Reacting is scrambling to catch it or swat it away. The pause is just stepping aside and letting it sail right past you. You remain entirely untouched.
Okay, I love the absolute Zen mastery of that visual, but I really need to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
Because I know what you're thinking if you're listening to this. Is this just emotional repression dressed up in a fancy, enlightened package?
That is the absolute core question. We have to draw a hard line here between repression and conscious restraint.
Please do, because we know from tons of other deep dives that just stuffing your anger down makes you physically sick. It ruins your health.
Right. We are absolutely not promoting emotional suppression here. Repression is entirely fear-based.
Okay.
It's when you desperately want to respond, but you're afraid of the conflict, or you feel powerless, so you just swallow the anger and pretend you aren't bothered.
That's classic passive-aggressive territory.
Exactly. You ignore the feeling, and it just ferments inside you. Conscious restraint, the pause, is completely different. It is an active state based on awareness.
So what does that active state look like in the moment?
You feel the rise. You actually lean into it and acknowledge it. You might silently say to yourself, my heart is racing right now, and I really want to verbally destroy this person.
So you validate the feeling completely.
100%. You feel the heat. But then you make a deliberate executive decision that engaging with this provocation is simply not worth your energy.
It's a choice.
It is a profound choice. Repression says, I can't say anything. Restraint says, I absolutely could, but I choose not to.
I see. In repression, you're the victim of the moment. But in restraint, you're the CEO of your own internal state.
You're retaining your sovereignty. You're keeping your internal stability instead of trading it away for some cheap external victory.
Which leads perfectly into the environment where we are trading away our peace every single day. The digital arena, social media.
Oh, the ultimate testing ground.
The text highlights the impulse to correct. And honestly, the internet is basically a massive engine designed for correction.
It's an environment literally engineered by some of the smartest people in the world to weaponize the amygdala hijack.
Yeah.
Everything about the user experience is built for it. The red notification badges, signaling urgency, the character limits that strip away all context and nuance.
And the reply button is just sitting right there, begging you to fix whatever wrong opinion someone just posted.
And because you can't hear their tone of voice or see their face, your brain naturally assumes the most hostile intent possible. You don't see a person. You see a direct attack on your identity.
Going back to that identity defense.
Right. We aren't really arguing about a movie review or an article. We're defending our concept of who we are. If I don't correct this stranger, my status as a smart, moral person is somehow diminished.
So we chase that win. We start typing furiously. But let's be real. Does anyone ever actually win an argument in a comments section?
Never. No one's deeply held beliefs have ever been dismantled because a stranger used all caps at them on a Tuesday.
No.
We do it to signal to our own group that we're fighting the good fight. But the actual cost is our own equilibrium. You might spend 2 hours agitated, checking your phone every 5 minutes to see if they replied.
You've handed over your whole evening to some anonymous user.
You let them move into your head rent-free.
Yeah.
The source text asks, what if power isn't in the reaction, but in choosing not to?
Mm-hmm.
Online, the person who reads the infuriating comment feels the rise and then just keeps scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
That is the person who holds the real power. They keep their time. They keep their focus.
I love that. You don't have to pick up the rope. It only becomes a tug of war if you grab the other end.
Precisely.
Okay, but we need to talk about nuance here, because life isn't just ignoring internet trolls. Sometimes you are in a situation where action is actually necessary.
Yeah.
Like if we just pause and breathe and walk away from everything, don't we risk becoming total doormats? Sometimes you really do need to defend yourself or stand up for someone else.
That's a crucial point. The pause is not a mandate for permanent silence or passivity. It is a quality control mechanism for your actions.
A quality control mechanism. Explain that.
If you act directly from the rise, from that initial cortisol-fueled heat, your action is going to be sloppy, It'll be aggressive, and it probably won't be effective.
You might win this shouting match, but get yourself fired.
Exactly. The pause isn't about stopping the action altogether. It's about delaying it long enough for your higher brain functions to come back online.
So it's the bridge between the trigger and the appropriate response.
Yes. So let's say your boss publicly takes credit for your work in a meeting.
Yeah.
Your rise happens instantly.
Instantly. I want to snap back immediately and correct the record.
But if you snap back in that hot state, you're going to sound defensive and emotional.
Right.
You'll undermine your own credibility. So instead, you pause.
Yeah.
You sit with the discomfort. It actually takes about 90 seconds for that initial chemical flush to start subsiding in your bloodstream.
Just a minute and a half.
Right. You let the wave crash. Then, with your prefrontal cortex engaged, you can decide, yes, this absolutely needs to be addressed.
But now the delivery is totally different.
Night and day. Now you can speak calmly and clearly. You aren't attacking, you're just stating facts. That is grounded strength.
It's the difference between trying to control the other person and actually controlling yourself.
Exactly. True power isn't about being the loudest person in the room. The person yelling is usually the one who feels completely out of control. The calm person is the one holding all the leverage.
I want to look at the very end of the text,
Okay.
because it really distills this whole philosophy down to a single point.
Yeah.
It just ends by saying, choose not to. But realistically, when you're in the thick of it, when the ego is screaming at you to do something, how do you actually execute that choice?
It is incredibly difficult because it feels physically uncomfortable. Choosing not to react when every fiber of your being wants to fight back feels like swallowing a hot coal.
It really does. So how do we push through that?
One of the most effective tools is curiosity. Instead of being consumed by the anger, you try to observe it.
Like taking a step back inside your own mind.
Exactly. You notice, wow, my jaw is totally clenched right now. My breathing is shallow. I am feeling intensely defensive. The moment you start observing the reaction, you are no longer entirely fused with it.
You become the witness.
Right. And the biological machine just reacts automatically. But the witness has a choice. The witness can decide where to direct the energy.
And that's the real internal stability the text is pointing us toward.
It's the core of sovereignty. If your mood and your day can be ruined by bad traffic or a sarcastic comment or a social media post, you are basically living at the mercy of the external world.
You're just a leaf blowing in the wind.
But the pause is how you build your walls. It's how you declare that the chaos outside doesn't get to come inside without your permission.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's make this actionable for everyone listening. How do you start building this habit? Because you can't just expect to be a Zen master the next time you have a massive argument with your partner.
No, definitely not. You have to train this muscle in low-stakes environments first.
Give me an example.
Traffic. Traffic is the ultimate training ground for the pause.
Oh, that's so true.
Someone cuts you off on the highway, you feel the rise. Your immediate impulse is to honk, speed up, ride their bumper, and glare at them.
The impulse to correct their bad driving.
Exactly. So in that moment, catch the impulse, recognize it, and then explicitly choose to do nothing.
Just let them drive away.
Let them go.
Yeah.
Notice how uncomfortable it feels to hold that reaction back, but then notice how quickly it passes. You didn't escalate the situation. You kept your peace.
You kept your dignity.
That's the perfect word for it. Dignity. When you refuse to get dragged into the mud every time someone provokes you, you preserve your own dignity.
And once you build that pathway in traffic, it's there for you when the stakes are higher.
Exactly. You start to realize that doing nothing isn't passive at all. It is a highly active, incredibly strong position to take.
So here is our challenge for you as you go through your day. The source text asks, what if power isn't in the reaction, but in choosing not to?
Test it out for yourself.
The very next time you feel the rise, whether it's an annoying email, a controversial post, or just a bad driver, give yourself a mandatory 10-second buffer.
Feel the heat and just wait.
Ask yourself if you really want to hand your power over to that person. And if the answer is no, then just enjoy the silence. It really is the ultimate power move.
It changes everything.
You've been listening to The Pause, and we'll be back at 8 a.m. tomorrow.